Good morning, everyone, and distinguished guests. So I'm so honored to be invited to by Federation of Hong Kong Industries and also Hong Kong Electronic Industry Council to be able to share GS1 insight about like IoT and how it's going to change our life. So today my topic is about like how to empower the Omni-Channel and also the consumer trust through IoT technology. So without further delay, let's have a very quick introduction about GS1. So GS1 is a global organization. So we define the supply chain standard. So to make it simple, we define the standard to make the connection between manufacturers, logistics provider, and the retailers. That means that we define the language so they can talk to each other. So the most common standard you see of office will be the barcode. Another speaker mentioned, like you see every day in the product. And also one of the most commonly used standard in Hong Kong is, I think it's not very popular, but it's not very well known, but it's also affecting everyone's life every day. So we have also had, GS1 also had another kind of EDI, electronic data interchange standard. So most of the consumer goods you're purchasing every day in the retail shop, like from Park and Shop, Welcome, Circle K, 7-Eleven, Eon, Fortress, the procurement and the invoicing, they're done with this EDI standard introduced by GS1. So just give you some high-level background. So, and then you can see that like, so we talk about standard. So in GS1, the standard, we have 3 layers. First of all, we have to be able to identify an object. Identify like an item. So we have different kind of identifying standard like the GT, this is the barcode I mentioned before, and also we have other kind of different standard to identify personnel, documents, asset, until like the shipment, pallet, that kind of different kind of full scope identification for the item you will see in the supply chain. And second one will be like how to capture. So some audience ask me like, okay, what's the difference between GS1 barcode or whatever? So you can see that like the capturing symbology is only a kind of container to contain the information from the identifier. So you can see that like in the second row, you can see the barcode. We have, for GS1, we have different kind of capturing symbology. Barcode, data matrix, QR code, and RFID, EPC. They're all kind of different full range of like different kind of symbology to capture information. And also at the end will be shared, because like when we talk about Internet of Things, there are 3 major criteria, right? First one is to identify an object. So, so the object will have a unique ID. We can be identified in the internet or in the application systems. And second one will be how you can include this information or the ID into a symbology. The third one obviously will be how you can share this ID or this information or this interaction throughout the network. So I'll give you some very simple background about the standard. So what's IoT? So this is, I think some speakers, they have mentioned about the definition of IoT. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here. So to make it simple, is a network, is an ecosystem with lots of devices. They have their own ID, and they have the wireless connection to other sensing device. So the interaction between the device and device will not involve the human being interaction. They will interact with each other, they will communicate with each other, and they will transmit information with each other. So it's the basic concept of Internet of Things. So I talk about like the definition of standard and also the Internet of Things. So actually Hong Kong, we are not lagging behind very much. So we have lots of very good application examples about IoT in Hong Kong. So you can see that I capture some photos and also some reference here, the IoT being deployed in Hong Kong. I think you're aware that like for the most important case will be when you may be aware that like when you travel, like when you check in your luggage in the airport, there will be a unique RFID tag on your passenger luggage. And this RFID tag will be able to tell the conveyor belt how to ship your luggage to your terminal. and to your airline. So this is Hong Kong Airport is one of the first airport in the world deploying this RFID luggage automation system. So we have to be very, very proud of traveling in Hong Kong Airport. And second one, I would like to highlight, so I put a couple of examples here, but the second one I think is quite interesting. I would like to share with you is in Wong Tai Sin. Wong Tai Sin, you know, like is one of the most famous temple in Hong Kong. So they have I think most of you have done this before as well. So when the visitor, they visit Wong Tai Sin, they will have some kind of like fortune-telling a stick, right? So this fortune-telling stick include 80x stick. 80x stick, there will be some kind of like your luck is good or bad, something like that. So, but one of the challenges is that because of the volume of the visitors and also the number of stick, and also some of the visitors, they are tourists, right? They come here, they have some fun and then go. So the stick, they all mix around. So a couple years ago, Wong Tai Sin, they have deployed a very smart IoT system. So every single fortune-telling stick, they have an RFID implant inside. So whenever like the visitor, they use this fortune-telling drum, they make their fortune, they ask the fortune after that, and then the stick will be all thrown into a very huge drum. This drum is RFID enabled. So this means like for the stick number one, when the stick number one go to the certain location, certain like valve, the valve will open because it senses like this is the stick number one, and the stick will go out and go into the stick number one position. And then that means like very easily for the Wong Tai Sin to distinguish the 1 to 88 fortune-telling stick, and then they can prepare the drum for the next visitor. So this is one of the very interesting case. So before I go into some of the interesting Hong Kong examples, I would like to talk about the Internet of Things development in China first. So I'm sure that when you're working with the mainland counterparts or the mainland companies, they were very there's some kind of slogan happening in the last 2 years. We call it like "Yap Ma Yap Ma." That means like they have when they deploy the IoT, they're very certain that every single object has to be an unique ID first. So, but first of all, like the Yap Ma Yap Ma is more about anti-counterfeit in the past. It's more about, you can see that for the high premium wine and other products, they use it for the anti-counterfeit purpose. But you can see that for the now, when I go into my examples, you can see that this purpose has evolved into like consumer trust and also consumer caring, or also the loyalty program, that kind of stuff. Okay, so before I go into the Hong Kong examples, I would like to talk about some background about GS1 and IoT. So I think most of you are aware that like the IoT terminology is evolved from like the very beginning is evolved from the RFID applications. That means like the EPC RFID. So the EPC RFID is some kind of concept, some kind of standard has been developed by GS1 and MIT in 20 years ago, I think. So GS1 worked with the MIT Auto ID Lab. So we developed this EPC standard. So as I mentioned, like for the EPC standard, there's three major dimensions, just like the IoT I mentioned before. So identify, capture, and share. So for the capture, obviously, this is the Gen 2 RFID tag. The low energy is very cost effective, and is widely deployed in many kind of different industry applications. And also the share, like we have also a standard called EPC information system. So it's kind of standard how you can share the information of EPC identified object and their interaction with other objects as well. Okay, so this slide gives you some more background, like how the EPCIS can so you can see in the top layer you have the symbology, the carriers, And the middle layer is a capturing device and also the wireless technology in terms of like you can see the web applications, barcode scanners, mobile device, handheld, RFID scanner, whatever. And then will be like the EPCIS is more about how to capture this interaction of different objects and connect to your like the core business system like CRM, ERP, WMS, that kind of core applications. Okay, so if I'm trying to put some analogy between internet and Internet of Things. You can see this is a very good analogy. So for internet, we have DNS. DNS is the ID to identify a server or a device. So we have in IoT, we call it ONS, Object Name Services. And our EPC code is IP address for your device and or your PC or in your network device in your company. And for EPCIS as I mentioned, is a standard to share different kind of EPC-enabled objects. So in the internet will be HTTP. And also for the discovery service, for IoT we have discovery service, and for the internet is an internet search engine, of course. Okay, so as I mentioned, like RFID is one of the most commonly, I would say, in the current status, most commonly deployed IoT sensing technology at this moment. So one of the analyst reports saying that like for RFID is, so we have more than there will be 3 billion RFID label by 2014, and then there will 25 billion RFID tag will be used in retail by 2020. So I think you are also aware that like one of the major application for RFID in retail industry is in apparel industry, because one of the challenge for the apparel retail is that like when the apparel retail, because of the number of SKU, the number of size, the number of colors, so if the apparel retail shop, they want to have a full visibility of the current inventory status in their retail shop, they have to close the shop and for the manual stock counting for 1 day. That means a very huge financial loss. So one of the major deployment for RFID will be in the apparel retail industry. So we have a slogan, we have a term in the industry saying that it's a tagging exhaust. That means for the most of the major retailers, for Macy's, C&A, Marks and Spencer's, they require their supplier, when they ship their apparel to their warehouse, they have to be able like to tag every single item with RFID already. And then this RFID number has to be uploaded to a system. So that means the inventory level will be have a very high visibility for the retail and also the business decision makers. Okay, so this slide also show you like this is the application for the RFID in apparel industry. So another benefit of RFID tagging in apparel is that in US, when we talk about US or in Europe, when we talk about Omni-Channel, that means like the behavior of the consumer, they have a look at the merchandise at the shop, they have a look at the website, and then they decide to buy on the website and they collect the item in another retail shop. So we call it retail Omni-Channel. That means the information and also the actual purchase and the collection of the item is really diversified. It's not something similar like when we in the past, like we go into a retail shop, we have a look at the item and we decide whether we buy it or not, and then we go. Okay, so it's the kind of Omni-Channel challenge. So derived from the Omni-Channel challenge, the inventory accuracy is very important for the retailer, because for example, I look at the item in shop A and then I cannot decide, and then I go to search some more information in the website, and then I decide to buy this jacket in another retail shop. I decided to buy this jacket online, and then I decided to collect this jacket in another retail shop, like a couple kilometers away. So you can see that for at the shop B, they has to be able to tell whether this jacket is available for Can-Am to pick up. So the inventory accuracy is important for the retailer to execute this omni-channel strategy. So this is some of the photo examples. So you can see this for the RFID enabled items you may see in US and also in some of the retail shop in Hong Kong as well. Okay, so this is also the inventory, as I mentioned, like how you can tell the accurate inventory and then you can execute the omni-channel strategy. Okay, so there's lots of interesting application derived from the RFID tagged item in apparel retail. So this is another application. It's called Smart Shelf. Smart Shelf is one of the interesting application. Like whenever, like as I mentioned, the item is tagged with RFID. So the retailer, they have installed an RFID scanner behind the display shelf. That means whatever, that's just like this lady, when she take one of the item from the shelf, the RFID scanner can tell this item is gone. This item has been removed. So the purpose of this is for the merchandiser and for the designer they understand the trial behavior of different consumers, and also why this item has been like taken away from the shelf for so many times, but the sales is not very good. There means some issue behind, like the fitting or whatever. So this is from some kind of very simple application to capture the consumer interaction in a retail shop. Okay, so this is some kind of screenshot. You can see that like when the item is removed, the system can tell which item has been removed and the number of removed by the consumers. Okay, so I talk about some US or Europe applications or some very apparel industry cases. So what I'm going to tell you is some very interesting case in Hong Kong as well. So this case is we're talking about like one of the major jewelry retailers, retail chain in Hong Kong, Chow Tai Fook. So Chow Tai Fook, how they deploy RFID IoT technology is that, so they deploy some kind of smart jewelry tray. So they have every single jewelry item tagged with RFID. It's not for security. It's not for the security for the retail shop. It's mainly to capture, like for example, they have a protocol. Like for example, when a consumer like Can-Am coming into the shop, I am trying to buy some jewelry for my wife for my wedding. So this kind of information will be captured by the salesman, and then they can see like how the interaction by Can-Am. So what kind of item has been selected by Can-Am, put on the tray, and like for the ring and also the necklace, that kind of stuff. And then all this kind of item can be matched at the end what the item has been actually purchased by the consumer. So it constitutes a very huge and very valuable amount of consumer big data and fitting back to the design house and also the decision makers to see what kind of is it the item. They have lots of decision can be made, like whether this item has some kind of design issue, pricing issue, or is this item is very hot, very popular for the kind of people they want some item for their wedding or for their birthday gift, some kind of analysis behind. Okay, so before I move to the second slide, this actually Chow Tai Fook has deployed this smart tray in the more than 80 retail shop in Hong Kong already. So when you go into the Chow Tai Fook shop, you will be able to see this smart tray, and also they're trying to deploy this this smart tray in more than 500 retail shop in China as well. So I talk about the one case about the how using the IoT to collect the big data, consumer analytics. The second case I'm going to tell you is about very interesting innovation, how to transform a very traditional business into a very innovative one. So this is about a company called Fukui. Fukui is a pearl grower in Hong Kong. I think pearl growing industry is a very old tradition. Like they have some kind of like a pearl growing farm in Saikong or and then they have been operated in a very old style. So, but one of the challenge for Fukui is that Fukui has a very good reputation in terms of their quality and also their product for the pearl. But they have some issues we have been faced by most of the Hong Kong enterprise as well is counterfeit. So when the pearl is done, when they put into a jewelry, how I can tell whether this pearl A or pearl B is really coming from Fukui? So Fukui has deployed a very interesting application by IoT. So they have decided to implant a very tiny RFID tag into the nucleus of the pearl before it grows up. So in the very early stage, like in the embryo of the, I would say embryo of the pearl, they implant a very tiny RFID tag inside the pearl, and then they seal it. And then when the pearl grows up, the RFID tag is still inside. So the RFID tag contains the unique ID of this pearl, the date, the date implant or whatever. And then whenever they want to know the date or the ID of the pearl, they don't even need to open the oyster. They just use the RFID scanner to scan it. So they will be able to tell the date and also the status of the pearl. And then every single pearl, after they grow up, they have a unique ID, like a unique certificate, aligning with the ID inside the pearl. So it's a very smart application for Fukui to fight against the counterfeit and also to increase the consumer trust. And also, like the reseller, they will be able to read the information of the pearl easily with the RFID scanner. Okay, so the next case I would like to share with you is is one of the major dairy company in China. It's called Mengniu. Mengniu, they have another issue in terms of, I think dairy industry is a kind of risky industry in China or mainland China right now, I would say. So they're facing an issue like in case of any kind of product recall or product issue, they would like to know what is the exact batch of product has been distributed to which retail channel or which distributor channel. So we work together. That we have designed some kind of dynamic printing technology. So every single pack of milk is printed with unremovable milk ink printed on the pack. And this number has been aggregated to the carton and to the pallet and also the whole shipment. So you can see that like all this kind of information has been uploaded to the EPCIS cloud. And then for the consumer or the retailers, they will, whenever they have a pack of milk on their hand, they will easily to tell what the batch number and also the exact distribution channel for this pack of product. So as I mentioned, this serves two purposes. First is that like for Mengniu, in case of any quality issue, they will easily to record that batch of product with this QR code. They know where they are and also how they can get it. So it's for some kind of consumer trust or quality issue. Another purpose is that Mengniu is using this to control their distribution channel. For example, like when they have milk, they have this lot of milk is only is targeted for Beijing. It's not for Guangzhou. And they find this batch in Guangzhou. That means some of the back channel distribution has happened. So they have to fix it. So it's also for the channel management as well. And the next example is I'm going to share with you is Metro. I think you are aware that like in EU, they have a very strict regulation in terms of the fishing, the fishery industry. That means that, for example, this fishing boat, they have their license to fish in this region. They have the certain, that means you are regulated to, you can only fish by this amount in this ocean area by this timing. Okay, so they have a very strict regulation to control the fishing industry. So we work with GS1 Germany. So we have developed a system like to name every single fishing boat. We're giving them a unique ID. And then the fishing boat, when they fish a certain amount of fish on their boat, they're using our system to name every single fish. Every single fish, yes. And then every single fish, and not finishing here. So if the fish is too large, we have to go into the secondary, like the pre-processing factory. The fish cut into 3 pieces. We give the fish the 3 pieces 3 numbers. All right, and then you can see that for the consumer, when they see the fish, like the whole fish or the cut fish in the retail market, they can simply use a mobile apps called FTrace, FTrace. These mobile apps, they can use the FTrace to actually track where and when and how this fish has been caught in 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago. So it's some kind of very interesting application for IoT. And then for this IoT, it's also serving 2 purposes. First one is for the regulatory compliance. Second is to really giving the consumer a very strong consumer trust, like we call it like from farm to the table. So this is some kind of like very good innovation in EU as well. So for the last thing I would like to share with you is for the counterfeiting. So as I mentioned in my topics is about how we can deliver consumer trust with IoT technology. So you can see that this is lots of counterfeit player in the market, and also they are counterfeiting everything, like from medicine, from milk, from even for the sterile. So for GS1 we have a kind of technology call it like Value Plus. So Value Plus is a technology we can assign a unique number for every single item for the merchandise. So this is for some kind of technology we are helping our members to fight against counterfeit. So but this is some kind of like a very I would say like it's a last generation technology because it involves a label. That means you have to stick a label on your product, and also you have to communicate with your consumer. You have to square away for the label. So these are some kind of last generation solution. So what I want to share with you is another kind of solution. Is more realistic, more up to the IoT requirement. So when I work with yes, I think this slide can tell you more. So when I work with when we work with our partners, we got a patent technology. So this patent technology is using the microprint technology to embed some coding into the barcode. That means you can see that for the upper part. So before I go into the technology, I will give you some background. So if I'm a counterfeit agency, how I can counterfeit your product? So the most easiest way is I buy the product, and then I copy the whole packaging, I copy your barcode, and then I put some counterfeit product into your package, and I try to sell it like a genuine product, right? So this technology is helping to fight against this counterfeit issue. So you can see that for the upper one, this genuine product, the barcode itself there's some kind of micro-printing encryption inside the barcode. So this micro-printing encryption is not affecting the POS checkout. That means when the product is being checked out by the POS in the retail shop, it's not affecting. But for the consumer or for the reseller, for the distributor, whenever they use a mobile app to scan this barcode, they can tell this barcode is a genuine product. So if I'm a counterfeiting agency, I got this cookie, and then I try to mock up the whole package. I try to copy the barcode, but I don't have the microfilm of this barcode. So I cannot reproduce the microprinting technology in this barcode. So when I produce this counterfeit product, and when I put it into the retail shop, wherever the consumer or the reseller, when they scan this barcode, they can see this barcode is the fake one or is a counterfeit one. So it's very simple technology. It's not involving lots of like investment. You just need to change your barcode printing film. That's all. So it's some kind of very groundbreaking innovation, I would say. So I share some different use case and also reference in Hong Kong. At last, I would like to give some commercial time for GS1. So for the Fukui Pearl case, for the Zhou Dai Fok case, and for the Wang Taixin case, actually they are all from the award nomination, which has from the cases collected by GS1. GS1 has been hosting ICT award organized by OGO, and the stream is the Best Smart Hong Kong Award. And in this award, we have three major streams, Internet of Things, Big Data, and also public sector information. So all the cases I share with you is that all the innovation coming from this ICT award. And also for GS1, we have been organizing different kind of seminars and conferences talking about IoT. So in the next month, we also have a major Internet of Things conference coming up. So if you're interested, just have a look and register for the event. So we have a list of very good speakers in this event as well. And last, for the cases like Zhou Dai Fok, for the Wang Taixin, Fukui, all these cases, we have a live demo in the GS1 Hong Kong office. We have a GS1 Hong Kong IoT Center in office in Wan Chai. So it's a very convenient location. So it's a free of charge. So if anyone you're interested, you're more than welcome to pay a visit to have a look at the center. And we have some professional technical personnel will be able to demonstrate the solution to you as well. So this is the end of my session. So thanks again for the organizer for the time, and also I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you.